Talking with Dr. Pierce, our injury insiders, we do every Tuesday here on Big D Energy. All right, Doc, big news out of the Aidan Hutchinson camp, Lions camp as well. Aidan Hutchinson running, as a matter of fact. We played the video earlier, and there you're getting a look at it as well. This kind of shook the internet yesterday, and he's out there doing it. And, Doc, I'm not going to lie, I hearkened back to a previous discussion we had. I believe it was around the time that the injury happened. Might have been a couple weeks after it or whatever. And you brought up the fact, you said, with this rehab, the degeneration of the muscle in the injury leg is going to be, the atrophy of the
Spence,
muscle in the leg.
Can you try to get a picture of holding him in frame so we can see him?
Yeah.
Yeah, but you foreshadowed this. You talked about it. And I can't remember your exact verbiage. I don't want to put words in your mouth, Doc, but I came away with the feeling of that is going to be a difficult part of the rehab process in and of itself, because you can see it in the video, the difference between the left injured leg and the right injured leg. He's an intensely strong individual. You talked about when he injured his leg, that went into the factor of the injury because of the massive strength.
Right. I mean, this is normal recovery. I mean, if you could see his running, like he's moving his arms more. And what I was talking about in the positives, there's a lot of positives in that video. There's positives that he's just playing running, right? So he's full weight bearing, putting pressure on. When you run, you put pressure on. A little tidbit, actually when you're running and you're truly running, you're not touching the ground, so you're actually putting less pressure. So a true run means both your feet are off the ground at certain periods of time. So efficient runners. So what he's trying to do is learn how to be a more efficient runner. You see how he's moving his arms more in tandem to his legs. But he's also short-stepping that left side. His left side's fatiguing out a little bit early. You can see the difference when he starts off to where he finishes. From an analytical standpoint, he's doing great, but it's not like, oh, he's ready. You know, in that video, he's not ready to be running like he does. And the atrophy is just natural atrophy. That will come back. That his size will be in 3 months equal to both sides. There we go. So you can see his, he's got
the thigh. The thigh alone you can tell.
The thigh is the coolest muscle because you see it just atrophy and waste, and it comes back the quickest. So it's the scariest because it's the biggest muscle, but it also comes back the quickest. And you see he's got some type of bracing compression on that leg, which he should have. And you're really worried about what's going on after, how much swelling's happening, what's he doing from a fatigue standpoint, are all the muscles firing? And he's actually running, I would say about an 80% rate from left to right, which is great for where we are. We all want to say he would have played in the Super Bowl and things like that. He doesn't need to run like this. He need to be positioned. So we'll never really know if he could have played in the Super Bowl, unfortunately. But this he's not giving up. He's working his butt off to be. He wants that. He wants a chance, a Super Bowl. Does he want an MVP defensive man? He does, but I guarantee you that's secondary. He wants to contribute actively, and he's working his butt off, and this proves it.
Woodward Sports chat thread. Art Vandelay, Dr. Pierce is the pit bull of the medical world, Mr. Worldwide. No, absolutely, but he's back here. He's back here in studio. Woodward Sports chat thread, by the way. We'll do the Javi Baez hip stuff later. All right, we'll do that as the season gets.
There was the Lee McNeil stuff too.
Gets closer. Yes. Oh yeah, that was the other thing too. We also saw some video of Aleem McNeil, just in kind of like the preliminary. And look, the Aleem McNeil thing is, but you see the atrophy there with Aleem McNeil as well.
Yeah, that's even more to the thigh, because you got to take it all out. The biggest thing with knee injuries for everybody. How to preserve your knee is to keep your thigh strong. It's a 3-to-2 ratio. So the front muscles, your quads to your hamstrings should be at a 3-to-2 for any knee injury. For anybody having knee pain, that's something to do with that. You're going to see it's nice. Those if we had to say it's a 4-stage program, he's in stage 1, 2, where he needs to get to 4. So it's early on. He's working on what we call proprioception. You're talking about feedback systems, that he has to start getting those muscles firing and triggering again. So you want to look at that. And going back to Hutchinson, that's also really important, is that proprioception, how he's hitting the ground, how he's not foot slapping, how he's working the full mechanics of his heel to toe, and push off. Those are all mechanical things. When I say Hutchinson's going to come back stronger, he's going to learn the mechanics of running and working out. He's not going to take it for granted, and he's going to be more efficient in what he does.
Woodward Sports chat thread, by the way. Doc is here. Somebody asked Zach Soap, Doc, I hurt my rotator cuff somehow months ago. It still hurts. How should I start rehabbing it? You don't know a diagnosis, so that kind of puts you in the spot.
Well, he said rotator cuff, so we'll assume shoulder, and I'll assume it's not completely torn. But, it's a lot of rubber band work. It's a lot of range of motion stuff. It's, if you truly hurt it, if it's going beyond 2 months, you need to be seen by a sports doc. I mean, we'll be happy to see you if you're local. But, yeah, if it's over a 2-month period and it's still aching, if it's worse, that's a bigger problem because you're starting to compensate with the other healthy muscles and ligaments around it. So you start going through that rabbit hole you don't want to do.
No, absolutely. And, we have the QR code for Doc if you want to give Doc a spin. D-Mac, you vouch for Dr. Pierce. He helped
100%.
Yeah.
I mean, if you like winning.
Yeah.
I mean, if you like feeling better and you like winning and you're you want to get right back on it. A lot of it is just getting the information to make sure you're doing it properly. So you're not hindering yourself. Like how many times Doc could tell you is that people who want to put the work in, show up, do whatever, but they're doing things that are actually hindering themselves. So if you're going to do it, if you're going to get into it like we're talking about with your rotator, make sure that your steps are doing it. The one thing that Doc does really well, right, is in the communication is A, gets you to B, gets you to C, gets you to where you want to be, right? So, and if you follow, this is like him, and without quoting, if you follow what I'm telling you, we'll do this, this, and this, then you'll be ready by this. I'll have you ready. I promise you I'll get you ready. I'll use an example. All the stuff during my comeback, right, where I was in there and I started coming in December, and the object was to get me back on the ice playing in the eye in a month. Right, so we did 2-a-days. We did, just different treatment. He said, just stick to this plan and show up, and I'll take care of the rest. Whatever we're going to be working on in between him and Sean Clark, and whether it was on ice, off ice. But a lot of it, Neil, was get my body prepared to take the abuse that he knew. Once I get out there, that I'm not going to protect myself because I play a certain way, but the fact that he knew what he was getting into, what I was going to do and not be in, is the same reason. How do you think that I can be the only player to make the comeback and play in the IHL, the AHL, and the NHL and win the Stanley Cup in the same year like that on the comeback at the end of my career? It's because of the people around me that put me in the best possible position, that knew me. If he doesn't know me as well for 20 years, 25 years, because it's and take this for what it's worth. The physical is one thing. But it's the mental and so to know why you're working towards what you're working for. Instead of just going in and listening to somebody. He's going to educate you along the way, and so to how to, okay, do we want to be here? Do we like spending this much time here? No. So how are we going to prepare to not get injured also? Because like you said, more and more and more, and the educations come further even more from the last 15 years. So it's just, don't tell me what, tell me who. Doc Pierce is my guy. That's the who. And trust me,
priceless.
Do me a favor and call him and berate him with so many questions, right?
No,
because
my tolerance for all the questions have been limited.
All right.
No, just to echo that. I mean, that's what we do. I mean, we really do. We're not like, oh, you need to go lift. You can go do some push-ups, go do some sit-ups. You got back pain. That's not what we do. I've never done that. It's always peeling it back. It's always understanding. And what he said, the most important part is the mentality of the player. I mean, granted, I knew the Red Wings well. From a personality standpoint, what their goals are, what their motivations are, and with him, the biggest thing he said is that he knows I'm going to go battle, and I don't know how to get my body ready for it. And we took him stepwise to do that, because when he walked in, he was not in playing shape, and we had a tight time frame, and we had a lot of pressure on, even from Mr. I. I mean, even from Kenny Holland, everybody, can you do it? And I said yes. And Drapes was right there, and we put our stuff on the line. So we were we were smacking
We were in
him
it
in the head
together.
every chance we had.
Yeah, absolutely. But that
So-
was part of it, and you don't have to do it alone. So there it is too, Doc. Because who wants to do rehab and who wants to do that
No, it's
alone?
not-
And you don't have to be alone. Call
right.
Michigan Sports is fine.
And I'll wrap this up, Doc, with, from that seriousness right there, and kind of like real talk. I'll give the people what they want here, like Mike G. Dr. Pierce, one more question for you. Does the secret sauce come in a 6-pack? Do they sell 6-packs, 12-packs, cases of it?
You gotta go to Michigan Sports and Spine to figure that one out.
All right, Doc.
And insurance doesn't cover it.
Yeah. Doc, appreciate you, as always.
All
my
right,
friend.
always
Thank you.
good, guys. But yeah, we want to get more of the chat. We want to get more of that, especially with the Lions not here. We have a lot more time. We want to kind of get, and then we're talking about doing like an undercover boss where we're going to go on site to like with your trainer, with certain workouts, and give credibility or no credibility to them. So we're looking for suggestions. Where do you want us to go?
Yeah, absolutely. Doc, appreciate it. Big Play Jay, I swear by Dr. Pierce and his staff, his PA and his PT faith are top tier. So
Oh,
there
that's
you go.
awesome. Thanks for shout out.
So there you go. Yeah, Big Play Jay, a day oneer for Woodward Sports.
Attention sports fans, don't miss out on expert sports injury insight with Dr. Jeff Pierce of Michigan Sports and Spine. Join Dr. Pierce every Tuesday during Big D Energy and Thursdays during Ermanni and Edwards, where he offers top-notch injury advice. Trust the guy that I trust. Dr. Jeff Pierce is here to keep you in the game and performing at your best. For more information, visit MichiganSportsandSpine.com or call 248-426-9944.